Hello everybody, welcome back to Nature's People. Today we have a really interesting topic, which is why is India better than China? That's a very interesting and nice question. Well, now I'll go deep right into the video, and I want to specify main aspects or many points that demonstrate or sort of showcase the amount or the justification of why is it that India performs better than China in almost all metrics down the board. So for starters, I'd like to say that India and China are the first and the second most populous country in the world. Their population is really high. India has, as of February 23rd, 2023, is the most populous country, the most populated country on the planet of Earth, standing on a staggering 1,430 million inhabitants. That's 1.43 billion inhabitants. That's a lot of people. And China, coming into second place, has a population of 1.4 billion people, and that makes it the second country in the ranking. Well, now getting deep into the video and explaining why does India do better than China, although other metrics such as economy, quality of life, education seems like China is the one on the top of the board, whereas it's not actually the case. I'm going to explain to you guys why is that I think, and I am confident, I'm sure that India on the long run will outperform China by a big margin. Getting right into it. Okay, first, India is a democracy. India outperforms China as compared to the aspect of liberal and freedom of speech. Well, no country on earth is completely a democratic nation. Even very high standard and developed countries such as the US, the UK, although they have high metrics or high standards of liberal ability of people of expressing themselves, regardless of what the press, what the news, whatever social media platform is trying to censor. Although those countries are liberal, they still have their flaws. They still falter in certain aspects. So there's no perfect democracy. However, India is a country of 1.43 billion people, and the votes, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi was elected by the people. It wasn't third party. China is a country that is a communist country. So people don't select. The few minorities are the ones who decide who is in power. That's the first metric. The second metric, India is a technological independent nation. In other words, if you look at how the economies of certain countries work, I would rather say China is an export dependent nation. In other words, China, let's say in 2022, exported between 2.9 and 3.2 trillion dollars in global value chain. We're talking about major exports to the US, to the European Union bloc, to Africa, to Latin America. So all these exports are sort of string attached to it's like a backbone of the Chinese economy. In better words, I'd rather say that in case one day the global economy cuts off China from global trade, the economy of China goes down the rabbit hole. Whereas India is a service-based economy, which means 70% of all the economy in India is service-based. In other words, I'll explain. A service-based economy is a real economy that's really dependent on the production, manufacturing, processing, and shipping of products within the nation and into the nation. Exports are definitely one aspect of the economy. However, India is not a major exporter nor importer. Countries that depend a lot of imports have a lot of strings and are tied to a lot of demands. So I'd rather explain, for example, if one day the US wants to imply sanctions, wants to pose sanctions onto India, India won't suffer. That's why India was free to buy oil from the country somewhere there in Europe, between Europe and what is going on there. So I don't want to get political. What I'm trying to say is that although the West did not want India to buy oil from there, India bought oil regardless, and sanctions won't be effective towards India because India is a service-based economy. That's number two. Number three, India is a technological independent nation, which means technologies in India are designed, developed, and innovated inside India. If you talk about ISRO, the Indian Research Institute organization, I guess, the ones that launch satellites to the moon, the whole value chain of the programs, we're talking about the ship industry, the microchips, the satellites, the internet, the processing, all the value chain it's a complete cycle that is within, it's designed within, it's completed within India. So India is not depending on TSMC, which is a Taiwanese company that manufactures microchips. Although those microchips are really advanced because the power, the computing power of those microchips is really high, because they can sort of compress a lot of information in a single and very small area. Still India outperforms China, because China depends on ships from the West. Number four, research and development. India outperforms China because the research and development, India is a very productive nation. That's why it's exporting a lot of know-how to the West, especially the US. So if you look at CEOs of the CEO of Google is an Indian national, and I think 40% of all NASA research in the research department of NASA are Indian descent people. This means India produces a lot of people, or a lot of quality, a lot of brains that are very productive to any nation. So guys, that's for you in a nutshell, why is India outperforming China. Thank you. This is part one, part three coming. Stay tuned, please share and subscribe and stick around. Thanks.